Hello, my name is Caitlin. I am a fashion reseller on the Depop and Poshmark apps. My Depop is at Traveling Circus BTG. My Instagram is at Traveling Circus BTG, and my Depop, my Poshmark is at KDB. And I'm about to do a haul, but right now I'm gonna do my makeup. And there was something that I wanted to talk about that I feel like needed to have its own video. So we are going to talk about addiction today. So I am an expert on addiction, I'll have you know. I have been to countless detoxes and I think three or four inpatient rehabs, several halfway houses, stuff like that. I went back and forth a lot with heroin addiction. So like I could get like a few days sober, and then the second I got out of detox, it was over with. So anyway, so let's start at the beginning, shall we? So what is the beginning of addiction? I'll tell you. And I'm also going to be doing my makeup because I need to have my makeup done for the thing, So where does it start? Addiction starts in your brain. And there are theories, there are people who believe that it's entirely genetic, but from what I understand, it's both genetic. You can have trauma will make you more likely to become a drug addict or an alcoholic. Head trauma, like if you hit your head when you're a little kid, you can like knock something loose basically, and you turn into a drug addict. And what addiction is at its core is the inability to stop using drugs. It's not the excess of use that lots of people think that it is. Like there are lots of people who will say that they used to be addicted to drugs and then they just quit. Then you weren't addicted. That's not how that works. You can be physically addicted to like a substance that, along the lines of maybe you had surgery and you became physically addicted to your pain medicine, or you have panic attacks and you became physically dependent on your Xanax. Like that is possible. But the inability to stop is the hallmark of an alcoholic or addict. So those people are not addicts. So where it starts is in your brain, and in the back of your brain is where you make all of your serotonin and dopamine, right? And then from the back of your brain, it then has to travel to the front for you to feel happy and good. And the issue that we have found with addicts and alcoholics is that that transfer from here to here does not happen as quickly or effectively as it would on a normal person. So that results in things like depression and anxiety and, general emotional and mental issues that are a result of lack of those chemicals. So you're depressed. You don't know why. The world sucks. Everybody hates you. You might as well go eat worms. And your friend in high school offers you a joint, as many do. Or maybe they got into their mom's medicine cabinet and found her whatever medication she has. So your friend brings this stuff to school and you try it. Now you didn't know before you tried it, because there's no way to know, that when you took that substance, it was going to put basically a highway where was once a dirt road between here and here. And all of that serotonin and dopamine is going to rush to the front. And that is why addicts have a stronger reaction to drugs than normal people will. So normal people will get high on cocaine or something like that, but they won't get as high as an addict. So that's cool. So the feeling that comes with that is like all of that depression, all of that anxiety, because those chemicals have arrived to do their job and they're aided by some sort of feel-good substance. This is now your medication. This is the cure to your depression. Well, it's really not, but that's what your brain says, because it worked, right? You don't feel bad anymore. So then you ask your friend, hey, can you get some more of those pills? Your friend says, yeah, they're $5 a piece. So you're like, okay. So you take your lunch money, and all of your lunch money goes to that drug. At some point, you may realize, oh, we have an issue here. I'm spending all my money on drugs instead of on food. That's not right. But here's the issue. When you realize that it's a problem, it is too fucking late. It's gotten to the point where you're spending all your money on it. You don't mind to starve as long as you can have that feel-good stuff. And there's a common misconception that people who are drug addicts have control over the things that they do. And like, to an extent they do. Here's the issue though. Drugs have now hijacked your brain because of the way that your brain reacts to drugs. And now your brain sees that medication or whatever, that substance, as the end all be all, the thing that I need to make me feel okay. And that is a very hard place to be. Because you know that there's something wrong with it. You know that you're not supposed to be spending all your money, all your lunch money in high school on whatever medication came out of your friends, parents, whatever the hell. But it's too late. So being that your brain is now hijacked, there's very little control that people have over what they're willing to do and as far as they're willing to go to get that substance, especially when they're already under the influence of the substance. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes you, common sense is out the damn window. Like, I'm here to tell you, there is not nothing that a drug addict won't do for whatever their thing is. And eventually you'll get caught and you'll go to treatment where hopefully they will inform you of the things that I have just informed you about. And then it's really fun because after you relapse, which is, if you ask me where an addict's responsibility lies, is a relapse after knowing what their body and brain are going to do in reaction to that substance. It's really fun to like watch that happen to you when you're like going through it, because for whatever reason, a lot of us are under the impression that we can just like maybe just do it one more time. And that's not a good idea, because your brain like immediately goes into hyperdrive and like absolutely got to get more for the rest of your life, forever and ever, amen. Like, it is amazing to be able to watch yourself do that. It's nuts. So yeah, and my experience may be different from other people's because I'm also bipolar, and I'm like super bipolar. So I will like lose my shit if I don't get my way, especially when I'm on drugs. So like, I was extra crazy. Not that there's anything wrong with being bipolar, but you know, we all have our things. Another misconception about addiction is that it's somebody's fault. The thing is, it's nobody's fault. Nobody knew that as soon as you took that pill that that was going to happen. You didn't know. Your parents didn't know. Nobody knew that that was how your body was going to react, because you were probably a teenager when you started experimenting with drugs, as most people do. So yeah, I feel like it's not, you can't really place that much blame on somebody whose brain has been hijacked. It's like blaming somebody with schizophrenia for doing what they do. It just doesn't make sense to me. And that's coming from somebody who's experienced it and has experienced the feelings of being completely out of control and just absolutely batshit crazy, have to get it, driving like 120 miles an hour to get whatever. It's nuts. It's nuts. And like, being 4 years sober now, I don't even recognize that person, and she terrifies me because I know that I'm capable of doing that, and I know how close to that person I truly am. And that's the most important thing about for drug addicts to learn, is that we, at no point, no matter how long we've been sober, that thing in our brain still exists. It will always exist. If I am sober for like 300 years and take like a Vicodin or something, my brain's straight into hyperdrive. Like it's been a problem for like millions of years. Like addicts have existed, addicts and alcoholics have existed since like antiquity. And in the 1930s was when we really developed a model that could combat that and could heal people and help people get their shit together. And if you ask me, the only answer is the 12 steps. That's only because that's what I've seen. I don't necessarily think that you need to be in AA for the rest of your life, all day, every day. I know that that works for some people, but other people have other things that they want to do with themselves. And my theory is, and it's based on the Rat Park experiment. If you've ever heard of the Rat Park experiment, you know what I'm talking about, but I'll tell you anyway. So they put rats in a little enclosure, and they had regular water, and it was like heroin or cocaine. Apparently they tried both. I don't know why. And there was heroin or cocaine in the other bottle. And when there was nothing for the rats to do, they were always on the heroin or cocaine water bottle. That's what they did. And I think that that's the root of a lot of it for people like us, is that we feel empty because of that thing that's going on here. And we have to keep our lives full, and full of people who support us, and like the right people who support us, and not, you know, people who are going to co-sign me doing something dumb. And you have to, in the experiment, to get back to it, in the experiment, they then put the rats, the same rats, into an enclosure with like lots of colorful toys and, you know, all that jazz, and the rats are having a great time. And shocker, they weren't so interested in drugs because they were having a good time and their lives didn't suck. So, if you ask me, therein lies your answer. And it's not necessarily that you have to create your life outside of you that makes you happy. It's more along the lines of like being grateful for what you have and keeping an eye on what you had. I feel like that's really helped me a lot, as far as, you know, just having an attitude of like positivity and patience and all that jazz. I feel like is really the true answer for drug addicts, is, you know, building a real life for ourselves. And that's hard nowadays. It's really hard, because it's hard to meet people, and for whatever reason, we drug addicts just like I don't know, we like zone in on each other or something. It's really weird. Like I always, every time I've started like some sort of like class or a group or something like that, I like, or like start a new job, like I will immediately go to the junkie. And I don't know who they are. I don't know that they're on drugs or that they were once on drugs, but we find each other. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's weird. So, and the reason that I want to bring this up is like, it is really hard to explain to people why addiction isn't the addict's fault. And I just want the people who are on my channel to have this sort of understanding about addiction and more of like a sympathetic understanding of addiction, because it's something that I went through that was really hard on me, and it was really a traumatic experience. It's terrible. At the end of the day, like, we don't want to do the things that we're doing. We don't want to hurt the people that we're hurting. It is not a good time. And it's just bizarre to me that somebody could think that like I would want that for myself. Nobody wants that for themselves. It's just what happens. And I don't know. So there's my summation of addiction. And like, just to tell a little bit of like my story, I was addicted to heroin. I was an IV drug user. This was 4 years ago. I'm not shy about it. I will tell anybody who will listen, because hopefully that will, what the things that I tell those people, they'll be able to take those things home with them and apply them to their interactions with other addicts. I feel like it's really important to educate people on mental health issues, especially the ones that I deal with and like know about. So as a heroin addict, I was like constantly homeless. I was like, I mean, I'm telling you, every few weeks I was having to move. I was having to find somebody to take me in. It was so out of hand. It was ridiculous. And I'd like wake up in places I didn't recognize, and dealing with the people and the way that people talk to you. And it's terrible and it's traumatic, and I can't possibly understand why any human being would think that this was somehow a choice. And I just, you would think that, because AA started in 1935, you would think that people would have a better, more holistic understanding of what addiction is. But, people don't care unless it affects them, which, that's fair. But when you try to like talk to people about it who are obviously ignorant and have no idea what they're talking about, they just don't even want to hear it. Like, Americans are such a trip, because some of us just go around saying shit's facts when it's just not even. Like, you can't just say that you believe something and therefore it is true. Like, that's not how this works, Karen. So, and I feel like this has kind of become an even bigger issue because of the heroin epidemic, where people think that Narcan is like somehow an infringement on the well-being of cancer patients or something like that. Like, I've been seeing, those posts where like people are like, well, if Narcan's free, then chemo should be free. And it's like, well, there's a huge difference. Let me tell you what the difference is. Narcan is a life-saving, one-time use medication. And chemo is a treatment. Though you're right, it should all be free. We should totally have free healthcare, just like every other civilized country in the world. And that should include mental health stuff and detoxes and addiction treatment centers. Yes, we should make it all free. I think that's a brilliant idea. Let's fucking do it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I just think that it's really important to talk about this kind of stuff because I want people to know that, like, even heroin addicts can get better. And that was the thing that I really thought was never gonna happen for me. I never thought that I was gonna get sober because I had never seen a heroin addict get sober. Like, we all die. That's it. But, like, that doesn't have to be you, you know? Like, you can get out of this. Because I did, and my boyfriend did, and I was just talking to a bunch of guys who were working on my car, who, one of them had like 6 years sober, and my boyfriend has a little over 4 years, 5 years now sober. The other guy had like 5 months. I mean, I've met tons and tons and tons of junkies, and I'm so glad that I did when I did, because I truly didn't think that, like, I was gonna make it out. And that is such a scary thing. Like, I remember thinking on Christmas Eve, or no, Christmas Day, I was going to get some stuff, and I was like, I just thought about what it would be like for my mom. Like, what if I died today? What if I died today on Christmas? But, like, that wasn't enough, you know? Like, that wasn't going to keep me from doing the thing. And, you know, I laugh about it because it is so, that was my life, you know? Like, that was how I went through life every single day, was batshit insane, looking for some shit, seeing what I could do to get some money to go get some dope. But now, I run my own business, and I have a dog and a really nice boyfriend who has put up with entirely too much of my shit, and parents who have been astoundingly supportive, and I wish that everybody had that. That's another reason to make videos like this, is so that people understand how important it is for parents to be supportive of their sobriety, and not, I guess, not like just expect it, because it is, especially when you're new, when you're just getting sober, like, your brain is fried, like hella fried, and to be able to make it out of that friedness and stay sober through it. And it's hard because, like, emotionally you don't have anything to deal with your pain anymore, and that's why we do drugs, is because, like, shit's hard. Like, our brains don't work like other people's brains. They just don't. And when my mom started going to Al-Anon and started really learning about what was going on with me, and would listen to me and let me explain what was going on with me, and let me talk about what I was, you know, how I was feeling, and what this is like and what that's like and all that jazz. It's really important to have people that feel like they're on your side. And, you know, my poor mother, she went through so much shit with me trying to help me get sober, and it was just, oh, it was terrible in my family. It really was. And there's no possible way for me to ever make up for all the stuff that I put them through. But I don't have to feel ashamed of that. And I can know that what I did was wrong, and that the things that led me to do that maybe weren't entirely my fault, but that I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure it never happens again. That's kind of where I stand on it. And I feel like that's a pretty well-educated opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, but hopefully not. been to a lot of rehabs. You'd think that I would know something about it by now. Oh, it's so hot. Jesus. My neck. My neck. And like another thing that I wish people knew about addicts is like, we're not bad people. You know, like even when we're strung out, even when we're acting crazy and stuff like that, like we don't want to be that person. It's not like we woke up today and we're like, you know what I want to do? Have an absolute conniption all over my friends and family. That's what I want to do. Like nobody wakes up and says that. And, you know, the things that we say and we do, they're not personal. Because we create so much damage and we say so many terrible things and, you know, hurt so many people that I just wish that people knew that we don't want to be that. We don't want to be that guy, I guess. If I had to put a name on it. So yeah, nobody wants to be that guy. But, you know, here we are. And it's really hard too because like it's hard to find friends that that don't drink or do drugs when you're young. Like now I'm fine because I don't really need that many friends. I have, you know, my relationship and my dog, and I have a really close relationship with my parents. And, you know, I'll find friends as I find friends. I do have some people that I talk to online a lot, and like some, as I like to call them, long distance hype men. You know who you are. But like, you know, I'm an introvert. Like, I love this job because I don't have to deal with people. Because people are fucking mean. And I'm sensitive. That's actually, yeah, no. The number one thing you need to know about drug addicts is we're fucking sensitive. Like, please be nice to me. I get my feelings hurt really easy. One time, I don't even remember how this discussion started. But one time I was on Facebook and I think we were talking about like civil rights or something like that. And there was some lady on there that was talking about she was saying that black people are on welfare. And I called her racist. And she was like, "You're a fucking junkie." And I'm like, okay. Like, I beat that shit. Like, I had the biggest battle of my life for years on end. And you have no idea what that's like. Like, don't try to shame me about one of the most formative experiences of my life, please. You asshole. I guess, you know, like, so stuff like that doesn't really bother me when people say, you know, like, oh, you're just a drug addict, or you were a drug addict or something like that. That doesn't bother me. Because I was. But what does bother me is the idea that, you know, somehow I chose to be a drug addict, or even that, like, somehow I wasn't raised correctly. Because I tell you what, my parents, they raised the hell out of me. They tried, goddammit, they tried. They were just no match for me. Because your bitch is crazy. And so yeah, I never wanted anything that I did to reflect on my parents as if they had anything to do with it, you know, because they didn't. They did their best. I was just a little too much. But, you know, now that my little brain's calmed down and I've gotten on the right medications for all my stuff, and you know, I've got this business going and stuff like that, I think shit's okay compared to where I was 5 years ago. I never would have thunk. Never would have thunk. I tell you what. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I really thought that I was just going to like die in a ditch. Like that was the game plan for real. Because I didn't think that I would ever get sober. I just assumed that I was going to die young. And then, thank God, I went to rehab and there were these people there from Heroin Anonymous, which truly saved my life. Truly, truly, because they were like real junkies. You know what I mean? Like homeless, squatter, you know, like high level junkies. You know what I mean? And like, so was I. And I didn't think that anybody could come back from that because I hadn't, and I'd never seen anybody else do it. But, yeah, they, gave me their credentials. They were legit. Their credentials being the track marks. The old track marks. I never got any track marks, which is pretty impressive. Because I have, some scarring issues with my skin. But, whatever. I guess I narrowly evaded that one. I actually have like a close family friend who helped me out a lot when I was on drugs, who I recently found out has like no idea about what addiction is or like how it works, and I just think that that is so strange. Like, how did you know me? How did you help me as much as you did and have no idea what was going on? Like, I don't know. It was weird. So, I went to an estate sale today. I got some really cute little things. It was a mad frickin' dash to get to the clothes. Like, there were people ripping clothes off of the stuff. Like, not like ripping, but like, you know what I mean? Like, they were getting it. I was like, okay, I'll just stand back then, because I'm not trying to deal with all that anxiety and whatnot. Plus, like, coronavirus? Are you kidding me? Like, my agoraphobia is, like, on 10,000 right now, because there's frickin' germs everywhere, and it's just making me crazy. One thing about me that my audience, as small as it may be, should know about me is that, like, I have like a kind of dismissive tone whenever I talk about things like addiction or mental health issues. And it's not that I'm necessarily, that I don't think that it's important, because obviously I do. It's just, I'm so used to talking about these things, and it's been such a big part of my life that now I feel like, you know, it's just another thing, you know, like, oh, I had a panic attack yesterday. Oh, well, you know, oh. So yeah, I'm going to download this video onto my computer, and then I'm going to do this haul, and then I've got another haul that I have to edit. So, good luck to me. So yeah, let me know if you learned anything, or if maybe you have some information relevant to addiction, or, you know, you have some opinions about addiction. Let's have a chat. Let's talk about it. Let's be calm and kind and understanding. Yes. Okay.